Once upon a time in a castle reigned by King Arthur with his wonderful wife Leticia, where a beautiful princess named Juliette was born, who was made with much love by the king and queen. As time went by, she became a very cheerful, brave, and kind princess, with great responsibilities and love on fencing and singing. Where she was 12 years old, the king and queen decided to give her a magic ring as a gift, which she wore at all times. One day, Juliet decided to explore the distant land of her father's reign and found an enchanted forest. Walking through that forest, when suddenly her ring began to shine brightly.
After taking a few steps, she unexpectedly falls into a lake and finds a door that allows her to access a fantasy world.
Different from the one she knew, full of colors and magical living things. Explored, she noticed that her ring began to shine more and more, taking her to the farthest part of the place. When suddenly she met a shadow. This was a magical being, which became her secret friend. The days were passing and Juliet was getting to know his new friend very well, who told her many things about his life. They got along really well. On her way back home, she was very excited due to the beginning of fencing classes which she had to take as a part of her training to become the future queen.
In those classes, she met a new guy named Esteban who really captured her attention. He was quite different from the other guys since he was a boy of humble background and had great skills in fencing. One day, before the day gets dark, Juliet ran quietly to see her friend and tell him about the guy he had met and she might be falling in love with him. After she left the magical place, she noticed there was someone not too far away looking at the landscape. She walked softly towards the person and realized that it was the same guy from the fencing classes. After a few hours of conversation, they started to know each other well. However, Juliet had to leave immediately after she noticed it was very late and her parents would notice she was not at home. But Esteban wanted to stay a little longer with her, so he offered himself to take her to the palace, and she happily accepted. When they arrived, Esteban, without any hesitation, told Juliet that since the first time he saw her, he was really into her and wanted her to become her wife. And Juliet was very happy about that, since she also wanted to share her entire life living with that man.
The next day, the princess plucked up the courage and told her parents that she was very eager to marry a young man she had met, and who was the most precious thing in the world to her. When her parents found out who it was, they strongly opposed it and fired Esteban so that she would never see him again. And they forbade the princess to leave the palace without supervision. The days passed, and a long awaited date arrived. It was the birthday of the royal wife, and King Arthur decided to celebrate it in a big way. Night came, and some mysterious bandits entered the palace to attempt on the lives of the queen and princess. Fortunately, Stefan suddenly appeared and protected them from those terrible men. When the king knew about this great act of courage performed by this young man, He was able to reflect on how wrong he was, and gave consent for his daughter and Stefan to marry as soon as possible. Juliette was very excited and told her friend that she would soon get married, but she promised him she would always visit him and never forget him. The big day arrived. The king and queen were very happy to see their daughter with such a bright smile and dressed in white as it made them remember when they fell in love and decided to get married.
Juliet and Esteban got engaged and lived happily ever after. The end.